You know, it's funny, so many of us have that memory, right? Standing in a dark bathroom, maybe at a sleepover, whispering that name, Bloody Mary. It feels like this almost universal dare for kids, especially here in the States. But what if there's something more to it than just a scary game? What gives this mirror ritual such a lasting, honestly terrifying grip? Today, that's what we're getting into. This is the deep dive, and we're tackling Bloody Mary, the terrifying American mirror ritual. Our mission, really, is to unpack why this legend just won't die. We'll look at its folklore roots, which are maybe more complex than you think, the psychology behind the fear, and how it keeps showing up in pop culture. We've pulled together insights from history, psychology, cultural analysis, all sorts of angles to try and figure out why this one story still gets under our skin.
So the basics of the ritual. I mean, most people know this, right? You go into a dark bathroom, you got to stare into that mirror, and then you say her name, usually 3 times, although I've heard variations. Like sometimes it's 13 times if you're feeling really brave. And the rumored results, that's where it gets properly scary.
Screaming, getting your face scratched, or the really chilling one, being dragged through the mirror into darkness. It's amazing how many kids have dared each other to do this. Lots laugh it off, sure, but then you hear those stories. People who swear they saw something. Makes you wonder.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is the question of who Bloody Mary actually is. Because there isn't just one answer. That ambiguity, that uncertainty, just adds another layer of dread, doesn't it? There are multiple theories, each kind of feeding into the fear in its own way.
Okay, so let's unpack those. What's the first big theory?
Well, perhaps the most common one, the one with some historical weight, ties her to Queen Mary of England, from the 16th century.
Ah, the Bloody Mary. Makes sense.
Exactly. She got that nickname for, burning hundreds of Protestants during her reign. But the legend seems to latch onto something else too. Her personal tragedies. She had these devastating false pregnancies, miscarriages. And the theory goes that her ghost is trapped in this state of grief and rage. A vengeful, tormented spirit.
That paints a pretty grim picture. Grief turned monstrous.
Right. A perfect setup for a vengeful mirror spirit, some would argue. Yeah. But then there's a totally different angle.
Okay.
An American origin story. This one centers on a figure called Mary Worth, supposedly an American witch.
Oh, interesting. So shifting from English royalty to, American folklore.
Precisely. The stories place her in colonial times, or maybe the 19th century, sometimes specifically Illinois. And the legend says she kidnapped and murdered young girls. Then the townsfolk found out, executed her, leaving her spirit angry and disfigured.
That sounds much more like a classic American ghost story, local horror.
It really does. It feels closer to home, maybe. More like something that could have happened nearby.
Yeah.
And that leads perfectly into the third main idea, that Bloody Mary isn't one specific person at all, but a kind of template for a local urban legend.
Ah, so it adapts.
Exactly. In one town, she's the girl who died in a car crash on prom night. In another, she was trapped in a house fire or, died by suicide. The details change, they get localized.
Yeah.
But the core is always there. A tragic, usually violent death, leaving behind a restless spirit.
That adaptability is key, isn't it? It lets the story feel personal, immediate, like it belongs to your town, your fears.
Precisely. It makes the legend incredibly resilient.
So, despite these different origin stories, the queen, the witch, the local tragedy, the way people actually do the ritual, the American version at least, seems pretty consistent. Can you walk us through that classic setup?
Sure. The environment is crucial. It starts with heading into a bathroom, turning off every single light.
Total darkness.
Total darkness. And closing the door. You want silence, isolation, then you face the mirror. You stare right into it at your own reflection. Sometimes people light a single candle, just with that flickering, eerie light, but often it's just pure darkness.
And then?
And then you say the name, slowly, clearly.
Dinner.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, 3 times is standard.
It's the simplicity that's so effective, I think. Just you, the dark, the mirror, the name.
Absolutely, it strips everything else away. And then you wait for the consequences.
Right, the consequences. Her face appearing behind yours, maybe pale, angry, or covered in blood.
Or reaching out, scratching, screaming, or maybe the mirror fogs up and words appear like, help me, or get out.
Chilling. You also hear about people just fainting from fear or running out screaming before anything even happens.
Yeah, the anticipation itself is terrifying.
So why? Why does this specific ritual, this mirror ghost, scare us so deeply? Especially here in the U.S.
Well, I think it hits a nerve because it bundles together some really fundamental human fears. Fears that maybe resonate strongly in American culture. You got the obvious ones. Fear of the unknown, certainly fear of the paranormal. There's also a deep fear of losing control, right? Standing there, waiting.
Definitely.
But maybe the most profound fear it taps into is the fear of being watched, that primal feeling. And here it's even weirder. It's the fear of being watched by yourself or by something emerging from your own reflection.
That uncanny valley feeling, but with your own face.
Exactly. The familiar becoming alien and threatening. The mirror, in this context, it stops being just glass. It becomes this symbolic portal, a gateway, not just to some ghost maybe, but to your own deepest anxieties, your subconscious fears made manifest.
Wow. So the ritual is almost like daring yourself to look into your own abyss.
In a way, yes. For kids especially, it becomes this test of bravery. Can you confront what might be lurking there, inside or out? It's a powerful psychological prompt.
That makes so much sense. And because it taps into something so deep, so primal, it's no wonder Bloody Mary is such a fixture in American pop culture. I mean, you see her referenced everywhere. Horror movies, TV shows, games. She's kind of iconic.
Absolutely.
Like, think about that really memorable episode in the first season of Supernatural, or nods in shows like The X-Files. Even the Paranormal Activity movies spun off from that mirror idea.
Right, the mirror gazing element is very cinematic.
Totally. And video games, too, especially mobile horror games. She really stands up there with other big American horror figures, doesn't she? Like Slender Man or maybe the Hookman legend. She's earned her place.
Which brings us back to that central question, that tension. Is it just a game? A psychological trick?
Yeah.
Or is there something else?
Right, the debate.
Well, from a psychological perspective, there are pretty solid explanations for what people might experience. One is a phenomenon called facial distortion illusion, or sometimes the Troxler effect in a way. Basically, if you stare at something, especially your own face, in low light for long enough,
Yeah.
your brain starts to kind of misinterpret the signals. It struggles to fill in the details, and it can genuinely make you perceive distortions, features shifting, merging, or even seeing another face entirely.
So your own brain creates the monster, essentially.
It's a plausible explanation for seeing a distorted or other face. Then there's the power of suggestion, especially in groups, mass hysteria, or maybe just mass delusion.
Like if everyone expects to see something scary.
Then they're much more likely to interpret ambiguous stimuli, a shadow, a sound as confirmation. Fear is contagious, you know.
Okay, that makes sense. But then you had the stories, the ones that are harder to just brush off.
Exactly, that's the other side of it.
People who did the ritual completely alone, no group pressure, and they absolutely swear they saw her, heard her, felt something.
Right. Those personal accounts are powerful, even if anecdotal.
And it leads to that lingering cultural fear, doesn't it? I mean, how many people do you know who, even jokingly, say they won't look in a mirror in the dark or after midnight, just in case?
Huh, yes. It shows that even if your rational brain accepts the explanations,
There's still that little sliver of doubt, that primal fear.
precisely, the what if is incredibly potent. It suggests the legend operates on a deeper level than just simple explanation can erase.
So wrapping this up, it feels like Bloody Mary endures because she's just this perfect storm, a mix of maybe some historical tragedy, definitely adaptable local folklore, some fascinating psychology about perception and fear.
And of course, a huge presence in our shared cultural nightmares, thanks to pop culture.
Yeah, it all weaves together to create something genuinely unsettling and incredibly sticky.
It really does. It takes an everyday object, the mirror, something we use constantly, and turns it into this potential gateway, a gateway to fear.
Makes you think twice about your own reflection.
It makes you confront yourself, quite literally, and it plays on that deep, unsettling thought. What if something else is looking back? Or what if the monster is actually part of you?
It's a powerful idea, and maybe that's the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. The legend persists because the mirror forces that confrontation. So as you go about your day, maybe you glance in a mirror. Just remember the warning that always seems to linger around this legend. She might be waiting. And the stories say, once you see her, she never forgets your face. What does it really tell us about ourselves that this story, this reflection-based fear, still holds such sway, something to ponder?